Welcome to the Local Pulse on HBC. I'm Dave Dicke, and today we're going to talk about mountain biking and some of the opportunities in the Winona community. Zach McKinney joins us. Zach is with the Winona Area Mountain Bikers, and Zach, great to have you with us today.
Hello, thank you.
So, I guess to start off, let's talk about a little bit how you got into mountain biking and what was it about the sport that drew you into it?
Yeah, I grew up biking and you know had a BMX bike and playing with sketchy jumps in the backyard kind of thing. And I think I probably came across you know mountain biking on a magazine somewhere and thought it seemed to be a cool thing to try. And that's that was the beginning.
And then in Winona, how would you describe the mountain biking community?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think some of the coolest people you'll meet um, are out there on mountain bikes. Um, there's kids coming up through the mountain bike team, which is really neat, and the people that coach them are awesome. There's folks that just ride the trails casually. They're more into taking it slow and taking it all in. There are those that are really after their best time and trying to go quick. Um, and then there's even volunteers that don't really ride, but just want to help out with the trails. So I think it's a good community and a good variety of folks.
The primary trails in Winona, I would say, are probably those behind Holzinger Lodge. Would that be correct in saying?
Yeah, yep.
And now in the trails have been there for several years, but now just last year, you've made some really amazing improvements. I don't mountain bike, but once they were done, I did walk it, and
Yeah,
that's I'd imagine it's challenging to hike it, but I can imagine on a bike it's really challenging because you got some nice curves in there and some other types of obstacles. So tell us a little bit about um, how long those improvements were in the planning before they actually came underway.
sure. Yeah, I would say the momentum and real progress has kind of been noticeable and really getting off the ground maybe 5 years ago. Um, but I'm sure people, going back to the beginning of mountain bikes in town have had an idea or, some vision of what should happen out there. So it's taken a long time to get it all together, but kind of really came together in these last couple of years.
So what goes into planning a new trail and some of that infrastructure that's now in place out there? What do you just kind of get everybody's ideas on what would be cool to put in and kind of go off of that, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, there's a few ways to do it. I do think, although it takes a little bit longer, I think it was done the right way. You need for sure permission from landowners. So we had to get that. Get buy-in from the community, get people interested and excited about it. Um, and then funding. So, the city put money in, WAMB, Winona Area Mountain Bikers, our club put money in. There were grants and then private donations. Um, and then the planning of it, professional trail builders were hired to build the trails. So they really know what they're doing. They did ask for our input on kind of what we'd like to see. A lot of what we gave back to them, was having things for beginners all the way up to, things that would be kind of beyond what we're able to take on. There's some stuff in the woods that I won't ride quite yet, but it's fun that I can work my way up to that. Um, yeah, and then the final part is just, you know, getting tools in the dirt.
And how long did it take to do this process from start to finish, would you say?
As far as like the actual building of the trails, I was surprised at how quick they were able to make progress, especially with some of the terrain out there and how steep and challenging that is to work on. Um, so once they were putting all the trails in, I think it was maybe 2 years, kind of start to finish for that piece of it. But all that other stuff I talked about before, um, takes a while to kind of convince all the right people that, it's a good idea and it'll be a good community, good for tourism and all of that.
What was the name of the company that did that work for you?
There were a few. So there was IMBA. That's the International Mountain Biking Association. They're kind of one of the original organizations that saw that in order for mountain biking to continue and to improve, they needed to get organized. Um, and then there was Rock Solid. They're known for making some really, really creative and fun trails. And then there's also Pathfinder, another trail building company. So there are three involved out there.
Is there one specific part of the trail or an obstacle that you find pretty cool that maybe people won't find anywhere else?
Um, that part's kind of hard to do because there's mountain biking's taken off, and so there's a lot of trails kind of everywhere. Um, but yeah, I guess I'd say regionally, there's kind of a overpass over the one trail, and it's a big roll in to the beginner jump line. And that's kind of unique, I think, to this area. People can bike and hike underneath, and then, above their heads, there's people about to roll into some jumps, which is pretty fun.
On our trails, is there one specific thing that you're really proud of that got added in?
Um, so there's a bridge out there on a trail called Troll Stroll. Um, Basically, they had kind of some extra funds for that trail, and they needed to put in a large bridge, and they're going to make it decorative. And they asked, for some feedback about what to put. And initially, it was, they're playing it safe, which is fair, but it was, kind of a bluff landscape or some wild grass or something. And we asked if they could, get kind of wild with it. And so now it's instead of that, they have a bunch of trolls, which is pretty cool. It's a neat looking bridge if you go out and hike it. And almost immediately somebody put a little troll doll at the beginning of it, which I thought was pretty fun.
Cool. Uh, so how many miles total of trails are out there behind Holsinger?
Yeah, it so before the trails were added, I would say it's around 10. Now we're closer to 15, or a little bit beyond that. Um, I kind of want to try to ride all of them and see if I can get a better idea of that. But yeah, around 15 there. And then a little ways out of town, there's well, we call it Cherry Hill. It's in the Bronx unit. There's another close to 10 there. So, within 10 miles of here, there's, close to 30 miles of trail to play with.
And the ones behind the Holsinger Lodge, those are all interconnected. If I know you have maps available down there to Adventure Cycle and Ski, and there's also a map at the main trailhead at Holsinger. I haven't been to the other trailheads, but I'm assuming there's a map there as well.
Yeah, there are some maps and some trail signage out there. It's a little rough right now. That's one of the last pieces that needs to go into place is trail signage. Fingers crossed it'll happen this spring. It's kind of been pushed back a couple times for various reasons. But hopefully they'll have that in there because I know right now, especially if you're not familiar with the trails, you can get turned around.
But if you stay on the trail, you'll find your way out.
Yeah, stay on the trail, you find your way out. If you pause and listen, it's not that far away from on Highway 61. You can hear that, or if you look around, a lot of times you'll see that, neighborhoods just up the hill. So kind of, parallel that and you'll work your way out.
Yeah, I remember it was at least a couple of years ago. I went. on a hike, and I thought I was kind of lost. I just kept walking. I'm like, well, something's got to show here pretty soon. And sure enough, through the trees, I start seeing rooftops.
Yeah.
Even though you felt like you're out in the middle of a vast wilderness up there, um,
Hmm.
and if you haven't been out there, it is quite peaceful once you get back in the trails there. It's just a nice little walk, but you're not as far
Absolutely.
you're not as far in the boondocks as you might think you are when you're up there.
Yeah.
So you've got all of these trails, close to 30 miles of trails. How do you keep that maintained?
It's a lot of work. Yeah, so currently, uh, WAM has an agreement with the city of Winona, to care for the trails at Bluffside Park. So those are the ones behind Holzinger Lodge back in there. Um, and it's all volunteer based. So none of us are, it'd be really cool if eventually we could have some paid positions. But yeah, right now it's all volunteers. We have some tools here in the bike shop basement. We're going to work on, I think, getting some tools closer to the trailhead, um, so people don't have to haul them all the time. Um, but yeah, it's just volunteers.
I know some of I guess the main work is you get some washouts after you get a heavy rain. Um,
Yeah.
but I've been up there after a strong wind, and sometimes you get more obstacles like trees, branches fall across the trail, and then off to the side you see where they've been cut away. So you've got some pretty serious gear. You got some chainsaws and some pretty heavy
Yep.
shovels and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, and there is there's a definitely a limit to what we can do, and there's some, especially fallen trees that we come across, and we're not in the logging industry or anything. So, um, we'll call the city and ask their maintenance department to help us with those if it's something that seems, beyond our skill set.
Are there any challenges that the mountain biking community faces as far as the practices to keep those trails in good shape? Would it be just maybe the maintenance side of thing and having, if you could, I guess your dream, as you kind of mentioned, would have somebody that would be paid to keep them maintained?
Yeah, yeah, I think ideally, if we could have a paid position to even just organize the volunteers, or if we could do something where we hire someone out to, you know, help maintain trails every year. Um, that would be cool. Those are kind of, I think, more of our long-term goals. On the short term, the easiest thing to do is, um, even though we're all, itching to get outside because it's getting nice out, is to just stay off the trails when they're wet. Um, you know, Footprints in mud or bike tracks or whatever, causes damage pretty quickly, and it's a lot of work to fix that. So if we just wait till the trail's dry, even after it rains, mid-season, if you give it enough time, um, that does a lot.
As a community, the general Winona community, what can we do to help with the efforts to sustain those trails and so forth? Is there a way we can donate to WAM to kind of facilitate some of that?
Yeah, yeah. We just redid our website this past winter. I believe it's Winona Area mountainbikers.com. But yeah, if you search it, it should pop up in there. Yeah, kind of the two main things would be, you can volunteer or donate. Those are, the main ways to get involved. Um, that is one of I guess my goals for the year is to have our volunteer base, broader and fall on more shoulders than, just a couple handfuls of folks in town.
We're talking with Zach McKinney of Winona Area Mountain Bikers on the local pulse. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in just a few moments. Please stay with us.
Evan, yeah, we have no internet. I don't know. It just stopped working.
I can't get online again.
Yeah, I'm talking to Evan. No, my daughter, my wife. Okay, can you guys not talk? Sorry. Yes, we have yes, the white boxes. I see one. We have 11 of those. We switched our broadband service provider. Like Devin put in 11, Evan. The best part, I never have to speak to Evan or Devin ever again. Are we looking for 7, Evan, or 11? We have 2 next to each other. That's bad. 2 white boxes. Evan?
Welcome back to the Local Pulse. I'm Dave Dicke and joined today by Zach McKinney of Adventure Cycle and Ski, but also with the Winona area mountain bikers. And we're talking about mountain biking, the trails in town and so forth. And I guess as we get going on our second half of the show here, are there any skills or techniques that are essential for someone who wants to get into mountain biking so they can begin enjoying these great trails we have around here?
Um, yeah, I mean, if you can, I guess I would say if you're comfortable enough, say biking around the lakes, um, I really think the new beginner trail that was put in, called Chickadee, it's fairly wide. There's not really any crazy obstacles on it. So if you take it slow and look ahead, that's kind of how you get your foot in the door here. So yeah, it's really nice to have a beginner trail in town, you know, have a good, decent functioning bike. Helmet is a really good idea. I would definitely wear one of those. Um, yeah.
And for a bike, you had mentioned earlier in the show you started out on a BMX bike. Probably not recommended to be out there on the trails with a BMX bike. Do you need something a little heftier than that, or what would you kind of recommend?
Yeah, I guess I would say, it doesn't have to be a crazy over the top bicycle. Um, but a legitimate in good working order mountain bike. It could be full suspension or hardtail. Either one is totally doable on the trails we have here.
It's my big old Schwinn Cruiser is probably not quite suited for the terrain.
Yeah, it might be more exciting than what you're looking for.
Well, I'm always up for a little excitement, so but I might put on more than a helmet then.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite type of bike? Do you have a specific brand that you like, or and how is it set up that makes the experience more enjoyable for you?
Um, I I like a bunch of different bikes. I'm not, really set on one specific one. I think that's one of the things I'm lucky in is that I get to experience using different bikes on the trail. Uh, I did over kind of the earlier COVID years build up um, I guess for me, a dream bicycle. A lot of people, even in the bike world, are like, "Why would you choose that?" Um, but it's a playful, fun bike, and it's yeah, really fun to ride on the trails here.
Are there any events? Does WAM host any events in Winona? Are there any other groups that host events in the general area?
Yeah, there's I would say quite a few, and I think um, they're becoming more and more consistent, so they're easier to find. So WAM has we do generally a Tuesday night time trial in the summer. So that's out at Cherry Hill. It's timed, so you're, racing against yourself, but you could casually ride it if you wanted. There's that one. Last year, I put on a mountain bike race called the Zinger Mountain Bike Race with another guy in town named Chase Wark. I'm hoping to bring that back this year, but I got a lot going on, so we'll see if I can make it happen. So there's that one coming up. Um, One of our board members, Natalie, is going to be teaching some beginner mountain bike classes, which I think is cool. I think she'll be really good at getting people excited about that and getting their foot in the door to biking. Um, yeah, and then there's, if you look, there's different races and rides that go on. Probably out of the bike shop here, or possibly through WAMB, we might try to get some group mountain bike rides going. The previous winter, we did some night rides, which was pretty fun. We just send out a big mass text to people that we knew were willing to suffer in the cold at night and, ride a bike in the woods. So that was fun.
What do you like most about mountain biking in this general area? And do you typically stay in this area? I'm sure across the river we've got lots of areas where you could ride as well. Is there a specific spot that you like?
I I think kind of as we hinted at earlier, one of the things that I like about here and that I think is special is, from where I'm sitting right now, I could be on a trail in the woods within 2 miles of here. So I don't have to drive to go out for a quick ride. So I think that's pretty cool. You can, be kind of away of everything and out in the wilderness pretty quickly. But yeah, I do travel for biking or events. If you go to La Crosse, there's some great trails there. There's some trails up in Red Wing. Really, there's, every, so many miles, there's another trail system you can come across, and each of them are a little bit different and unique. So that makes it fun and exciting.
I think you kind of alluded to the answer to this question a little bit earlier, but what's your favorite trail in Winona?
My favorite trail in Winona is actually one of the older ones, called Quarry Trail. It's narrower and kind of the old school style single track, a little bit more technical in their steeper parts. So I kind of like that. The modern machine built, perfectly groomed stuff is great, and fun to ride, but my preference is definitely the older style trail.
How has your mountain biking experience changed over time, would you say?
I am less brave or foolish for sure. Crashing hurts and it takes longer to heal, so I've definitely tamed it down. I think on the other end of that, I've also probably gotten a little bit better at trying to include others and get people into it. I remember early on, I invited somebody new to mountain biking, and I immediately drug them up the hardest trail possible, and they like quit that day. And then this was like teenage years, so I'm like, oh right, I should probably like ease them into it. They haven't been doing this for forever, and yeah, I would say that's how it's changed.
And as we get ready to wrap up here, if someone's interested in learning more about WAM or mountain biking in general, website's probably the best place for them to start, would you say?
Yeah, check out the website for sure. You could stop by the bike shop. We're pretty busy here, but we certainly will try to take time to chat. If you come find us at any of the events we're doing, um, those beginner classes, yeah, we are certainly trying to get more people into it, and yeah.
I know as a hiker and you hit those trails, there's always somebody riding their bike. So you could even
Yep.
just, if you hang out there long enough, you'll find somebody you can chat with too, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, yep. Yeah, if you hang out, yeah, you'll find someone.
All right. Well, Zach, we thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk to us today. And we wish you good luck with the organization this year. And we'll try to see if we can drum up some more mountain bikers for you.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
All right. And thank you everyone for joining us for this edition of the Local Pulse. And we'll see you next time. Take care.